school system sort of it changes you. It can mold you into like a cog in a wheel. It may be preparing you for a certain career path,
Sure.
right? That the local industry needs in your community. But we're all creative at birth, and over time, our lived experiences remove that creativity from us. So entrepreneurship can be a great way to tap back into that.
I am excited to get this conversation going today with a young brother who I've been able to see and get to know a little bit over the past few years. And when I tell you this person is all about entrepreneurship and especially entrepreneurship in our community, our black community, I don't think I have seen a better representation of that in recent time. But I'm happy and I'm excited to welcome to the show Gary Johnson III. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great, brother. That was an amazing intro. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I'm honored.
Hey, man, I mean it. I don't say anything I don't mean,
Yes,
man.
sir. Yes, sir.
You have a lot of stuff going, man. I feel like you have an interesting background, and I know kind of what you're doing currently, and we're going to get in. We're going to get into all of that. Tell me, right now, you're the founder and CEO of a coffee brand,
Hmm.
and remind me the name of the coffee brand again.
Yep. BVP Coffee Co.
Yep, BVP
And
Coffee Co. What does that stand for?
BVP stands for Bison Venture Partners.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yes.
What made you start that? Like, what was the inspiration behind it? I mean, because you don't see too many of us in the coffee space at all, right?
Mhm.
And so, for someone who is a heavy consumer of coffee, like I probably drink 2 cups a day, especially at this
Mhm.
period in my life. But I think you're the first person I come across that I've known to have, gone down the path of starting a coffee brand. But I know we're going to get into that later. But tell us a little bit about just kind of your background, how you got started, why you have such an entrepreneurial spirit. I want to know all that stuff, man.
Sure, sure. I mean, yeah, there's a lot that has gotten me to this point thus far. But I give credit to my mother
Mm,
for inspiring me to be an entrepreneur because when I was in middle school, she was working as a single mom, um, had 3 kids, and was just hustling,
yeah.
doing what she had to do to provide for her family. So she was a real estate agent, but then also at one point in time in middle school, she started a property cleanouts business. And what she would do is she would rent a U-Haul truck, and on the weekends, she would wake us up early in the morning, pack us up in this truck, and we would drive around Philly, Chester,
Hmm.
Pennsylvania, and we would clean out properties, like literally scrubbing these houses from the floor to the ceiling, and taking all the stuff out of there, putting it into the trash, the dumpsters, and then even getting to keep some cool things. It was almost like a treasure hunting adventure in certain
Hmm.
instances. Um, but I got to see what it meant to be a business owner, from a young age. And she never called herself an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
The word entrepreneur, as far as I knew, was only something I knew from SpongeBob, where there was this episode where he talked about, I think it was like a chocolate bar, and they were
Hmm.
selling chocolate bars, and they were entrepreneurs. That's all I knew about it. Um, but then eventually I got to college and just started exploring business. Even though I was an exercise science major, thought
Word.
I wanted to
Okay.
be a physical therapist. Um, I knew I was interested in business. I knew I was interested in leadership, and just like being the boss. Whatever I was
Hmm.
going to do, I knew I just wanted to be the boss. So ended up exploring the campus and finding all these different entrepreneurial resources, discovering the Venture Development Center on the campus of University of Delaware, and just started taking advantage of every opportunity because I saw that resources were being provided to people who were interested in using their creativity to solve problems. And then I found, oh, there's a whole study of entrepreneurship. You can study success stories, you can study the failures, you can see like what does it mean to actually start something from scratch and
Hmm.
and try to turn it into a real business or a company. So I sort of obsessed over that process, and I've worked on a lot of ventures. I built my creative confidence to the point where I've just experimented a lot. And on the campus is where I, one, joined the greatest fraternity in the history of mankind, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity
Check
Incorporated.
them out.
But also, was able to get access to funding and mentors and
Hmm.
just people who have been there, done that, right? And even if they worked on a different business than what I was interested in doing, like I got to learn from people who were creative and visionary and were people like my mom, right? Who were just like, hey, like even if I'm not trying to be a founder who gets featured in a magazine or something
Hmm.
like that, like I have a skill to be able to create value in the world
Hmm.
and earn money doing the thing that maybe I'm passionate about or something I'm good at and be able to make a difference in one way or another. So that's where I get it from.
Hmm.
Spent a lot of time just studying that process, and I'm passionate about teaching as well. So I teach entrepreneurship, and the first business that I started was actually a nonprofit
Hmm.
called First Founders Inc.
Yep.
And it was a result of me being a black man, going to a PWI, studying entrepreneurship, trying to get resources, right? And like seeing, okay, there are disparities that exist
Hmm.
in this space. Um, I'm also at a great university, but I'm also at the same time doing work in the community. And I'm like, man, like there's young men in the community who are more creative than I am. Like they need access to the same opportunities, the opportunity to pitch their idea in a competition, to get some startup funding, right? To
Yep.
get access to mentors. So I sort of started with that perspective of just like, how do we use business, whether it's nonprofit or for profit, as a way to create opportunities for other people to tap into their creative genius. And it's opened up a whole lot of doors. And
Yeah,
just
man.
along the way, like I've experimented, learned how to use different tools, and I've worked on so many different types of businesses that anybody I mentor, I'm usually able to connect and say, oh, I've used a tool that does XYZ. You should look into
Hmm.
that. That could be helpful
Hmm.
for you.
Yeah. That's super cool. A couple of things that you mentioned that kind of stand out, and it's funny how you pick up things when you're a kid, right, from your parents. They're like our first role models, and still for many of us, right. I know mine are. But my mom was an entrepreneur, and so I remember being I can't remember how old I was, but I remember her working a corporate job, and then she went out and started a staffing business, and she, did that for a couple of years, and she unfortunately got sick with she deals to this day still deals with lupus, and so that kind of set her down a bit, but she always had that entrepreneurial hustle, and that was the first spark for me. Now that I look back on it, I don't think I knew it and understood it at the time, but that was the first signal to say, "Yo, you can actually build something from scratch." And sometimes all you need to see is just a glimmer of it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And it seems like that's kind of a similar path
yeah, man.
that that you experience as well.
For sure, for sure. And I don't give my dad enough credit.
Hmm. Same.
He he
Yeah, same.
instilled the leadership, in me, and to what it means to be a man of stature, to walk into a
Hmm.
room and people pay attention and people listen
Yeah.
to what you have to say because they trust you, they believe you, and you support them, right? So I sort of combine those two aspects. But yeah, you have to see it. You have to
Yeah.
see it, and sometimes it's not the people that you have a direct relationship with, but maybe you see it in a movie or on YouTube or you read about someone in a book. So, I've consumed a bunch of content to be able to learn from so many different types of people.
Yeah, and I think you've gone about it the right way too, because and you mentioned this. You have tried so many different things that you can pull from various experiences, and in a similar fashion, this is probably, I don't know, my fourth business or something like that, or something that I've been a part of. I worked in corporate as well, but again, it's one of those situations where you don't necessarily know it while you're in it, but in the venture that you're in now, I'm sure, and with even with the people that you mentor, I'm sure there are moments where you're like, oh, remember that business I did 5 years ago, and I ran into this issue, or this particular process helped us out, quite tremendously. Now I can leverage it here. So I think it's extremely valuable that people just try, dibble and dab in as many different things as you possibly can, especially if you're young. Especially if
Yeah.
you're young, and even if you're old, like it's never too late. because there's so much value and so much stuff that you can learn in going through that process.
Yeah. Yeah, and we are naturally creative,
Yeah,
so once I learned that, once I came to find, okay, like the school system sort of it changes you. It molds you into it can mold you into like a cog in a wheel. It may be preparing you for a certain career path,
sure.
right? That the local industry needs in your community. But we're all creative at birth, and over time, our lived experiences remove that creativity from us. So entrepreneurship can be a great way to tap back into that. So that's super important. And like you said, like it doesn't matter if you're young or old. Like, I mean, I believe you have to create, otherwise you're dying. If you're
Yeah,
not creating, you're definitely on the way out.
yeah.
So we got to keep creating. Whether it's, again, it doesn't even have to be a business necessarily, but what I teach when I'm teaching entrepreneurship is that entrepreneurship is a mindset around solving problems, around figuring out how do we create value. And your solution could be through a business enterprise, nonprofit or for profit, or it might be going into an existing organization, an existing company, and just applying that problem solving mindset to the needs of that organization.
Yeah. Did you ever work corporate?
Corporate, no.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm a terrible employee.
I was looking at your profile a little bit, and I was like, I don't think you ever worked corporate at all. So
Not corporate.
yeah, it brought me to my next question of like, what was your thought process as you set out? Obviously, you went to school and you started out as one, in one major, and it ended up being something else. But do you think? I'm sure it's a combination of things, not only the exposure that you got from your mom and the leadership stuff that you picked up from your pops, but how did you know like corporate or a regular job or whatever it may be just wasn't for you? And I don't disparage anyone that works a regular job. Let me be clear about that, because there's a lot of stuff that is needed, that you have to understand who you are, and you have to know that intimately before you try to go out here and work in a corporate situation or try to go out here and start a business. Like, you need to know yourself first, and
Yeah.
there's honor in both, and there's a ton of risk in both. But how did you understand that for your, like, what was that thought process? What was that exercise internally to say, what, like, I know this is the path for me?
I mean, it's so many things. I would not say that in high school I was exposed to many career opportunities. I didn't
Sure.
necessarily
Okay.
know, okay, what are all of my options? I remember we were given a book in the library, and it was like, hey, pick a major, pick a major out of this book. And I was going based on salary and,
Like we all
okay, I'm
did.
interested. Yeah, like it has to make money. My parents are telling me I have to make money.
Right. It need to sound great too.
It has to sound good, right? People can't be like, oh, why are you doing that?
Mm-hmm.
My dad and my stepmother are both pharmacists
Okay.
in the pharmacy industry. So healthcare was something that they really urged me to look into. And I was like, I want to help people. I want to help people get better, help people improve. I like sports and fitness. So physical therapy made sense for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got to college, and in the program we had to get 100 hours, 100 volunteer hours in the physical therapy clinic. And I remember, one, having the experience of just being, again, a black male student at a PWI,
Mm-hmm.
and being in classes where I was the only one. I was
Mm-hmm.
literally the only one. And it would be time for like group projects and things, and like nobody wants me in their group type of thing. So it
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of isolation, a lot of feeling like, maybe I don't belong here. I don't see myself represented by the professors, by the people coming in who have their own businesses or whatever it is. So just never saw myself in it. But then even while I was volunteering, go down to the clinic, and I got to, learn what to do in the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
Got to help some people here and there. But I just remember just sort of being there and being like, I would not want to do this every day.
Yeah.
I would not want to come to the same place every day, the same environment every day, and be here from 9 to 5. that's just is not for me. I just
Mm-hmm.
want more freedom, more flexibility,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just again through entrepreneurship, I saw, oh wow, like I can do so many different things. Like I can do so many different things, and I can do them simultaneously if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just the freedom. It was the freedom for me. But I was never interested in like banking. Banking is big in
Yeah.
Delaware, where I went to school.
Yeah.
It was just too stagnant. It's like, yeah, people are making great money, but that wasn't what was calling me.
Yeah, and I love what you said about the freedom and flexibility, and I know you mean it in multiple fashions. I think sometimes people get into entrepreneurship for the quote unquote freedom and flexibility,
Mm,
but for someone like you and how I think about it as well, it's really the freedom of like thought and creativity, and to be able to manifest something and create something from your own ideas, and to
mm,
be able to build something around that and add value around that. And so that's one aspect of freedom and flexibility that I feel like a lot of people just kind of overlook when it comes to entrepreneurship.
mm.
Now, the other side of it too is like, yeah, you can work from wherever you want and you can set your own hours, but we all know like hours,
Yeah,
they kind of
there's no, you don't
it's
clock
really
in,
no
clock
such
out
thing.
type thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it's the freedom to be able to do and have an idea to create things to galvanize people around certain concepts or whatever it may be, and to see them come to life, and
Yeah.
then to do that in a way that, again, like you mentioned, it creates value. But then you're also able to see other people kind of tap into that for themselves because of the work that you're doing. There's a tremendous amount of pride that I'm sure you have around that, and just to me, it sounds like that is a personal. For me, it would be something that would be something I would be extremely proud of, and I could say is like, this is a real success. Business success is important,
Mm,
but it's also just as important to see me help other individuals kind of manifest and create, ideas and enterprises and businesses that create value for others
yeah.
based on my own experiences. And I think that's really a huge part that doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah. No, for sure. Impact.
Impact.
Impact is the
Yeah.
word, and
Well said.
they say it
Yeah.
a lot in the nonprofit space, not so much in the for-profit. But yeah, impact is something that'll keep you going.
Yeah, for sure.
To see you affected somebody in a positive way, and yeah, that's what keeps me going. The first venture I ever did that I really like put out into the world and like executed on something
Hmm.
was organizing a pitch competition called the I Have a Dream pitch competition,
Hmm.
that I organized in Wilmington, Delaware, as a result of sort of reading in the news at the time. Wilmington, Delaware was being painted as Murder Town, USA.
That's crazy.
Murder Town, USA. And Netflix was literally about to do a documentary. They were going to come to the city and make a documentary called Murder Town, USA. And I was doing work in the community. I'm like, this is just wrong. Like, it's wrong to paint this city, these neighborhoods, these people in that light,
Hmm.
And I said, you know what, let's flip that on its head. Let's write our own narrative, and let's do a business pitch competition like similar to Shark Tank. Let's host it on MLK Day, and let's invite young men in the community, young black men, to present their creative ideas.
Hmm.
And let's have all of the judges be black men who are from the community, who started their own businesses or are investors. Um, and then let's invite the community to come see and hear these amazing ideas that these young people have, and then let's get them some money. We had a
Hmm.
$1,000 prize, and then a couple of other sponsors put in some different things. So that was the first time I put something out to the world like that, and honestly didn't really know the impact that it was going to have. I just
Hmm.
was compelled, like God led me to do that, so I was
Hmm.
just doing it. And after the competition, there was a mother who came up to me, and her son, I believe her son won maybe second or third place, a couple $100. And I just remember, I can still feel it. Like she grabbed my wrist in the hallway and just like stares me dead in my eyes. And she's like, we need you.
Mm.
Like, they keep doing this. Like, this work is important.
Hmm.
This what you just did, like the impact you just had on my son, is like nothing else, right? So that alone, like that moment, that's how I knew, okay, supporting entrepreneurs, creating
Yeah.
opportunities,
Yeah.
like that's what I'm here to do. So
Yeah.
by any means necessary, nonprofit, for profit. And I can definitely share more about how, eventually that led me to starting a coffee business.
Yep. Yep.
But it's all really the same. It's really the same impact
Yeah.
I'm trying to create, just using different vehicles.
Isn't it crazy, man, how sometimes I think sometimes we can have a tendency to undersell what we do, right?
Mhm.
I think that's partly a cultural thing and how we were raised. But I've noticed, and with even just more content that we have started to put out as an agency, right? Like you just really don't know who's watching
Mhm.
and who's looking at you from a standpoint like they don't care about the vanity side of it. They don't care how many followers you got. They don't care, that you're doing all these other things that most people or some people will deem as like major or big. But sometimes you'll get pulled aside and someone will have a conversation or you'll have a moment like you just described, which is like, yo, we need you, or yo, like keep doing what you're doing, and you're like, oh, I didn't even know you were even tapped in like that.
Right. Yeah.
And it's always like those subtle reminders, especially when there are moments of like, yo, this is getting a lot. I'm getting a bit
Mhm.
overwhelmed. And it's like, okay. And then it could be someone that'll just pull you aside and be like, yo, man, I saw the video you put out. Appreciate
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
And I would imagine even for you, like for a mother to pull you aside and to say that, I mean, I think that had to be a really, like you mentioned, a really significant moment. Sounds like it was even pivotal for you.
Mhm.
But I always love hearing stories and moments like that.
Yeah. It was powerful, man. It
Yeah.
was it was
Yeah.
exactly what I needed, for
Gotcha.
sure.
So, to that end, right? Like you mentioned that it was something that you needed, and it was ultimately it sounds like what led you to start a coffee brand. So, like let's get into that. How did that come about?
Yeah, it's funny. It's super funny. Because it was not necessarily, it was the goal, but it wasn't the goal.
Okay.
In my head, I was gonna work. You work, and then you work, you work, you work. Eventually, you retire. And one of the things I struggled with after graduating was finding work. Was actually getting a job. So, entrepreneurship wasn't paying me out of college, but it did create a lot of opportunities for me. I did become a leader in the space. But it was like I still need a job. I need a legit. I need something to pay the bills, and I just struggled. I struggled like sending resumes out, like talking about my resume. It's like entrepreneurial achievements and work I've done, like impact I've started to create at least. But most companies aren't looking for that. They're looking for, well, where did you work? Like, what company did you intern at? I didn't have those things. One other thing, another pivotal moment that told me I need to work for myself was throughout college. I was working in the dining hall. I was working at the gym. I was working I was in the dining hall
Oh
freshman year.
wow.
Like I was scrubbing dishes.
Word.
I was washing.
Oh, you were getting it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah. I was
making it
in the
happen.
back. I was in the
Yeah.
back. So I've been through all of that, and eventually worked in a pharmacy as a cashier. Not in the pharmacy, in a like a CVS in the front,
Okay.
but working my way through school and got robbed at gunpoint one day. Yeah, got robbed at gunpoint.
What?
Yeah, like yeah, got robbed at gunpoint,
This was on
and
campus? Or
right off the campus. Yeah, right
yeah.
off campus. Yeah,
Okay.
yep, yep,
Man, that's
yep. So
crazy.
that was another pivotal moment where it was like, man, like I literally like saw my life flash before my eyes. Like you got a gun pointed to your face. Like it's some real stuff. And what the moment taught me was just like it was like if I'm gonna die for anything, why am I gonna die for this company that doesn't even care about me?
Yeah.
Like I'm working here for however much, I don't know what the wage was, but
Hmm.
it was not worth it. Right? It was not worth it. So That was a pivotal moment that just told me like, yeah, like I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna build my pyramid, you know. That's what I'm gonna die for. So anyway, fast forwarding,
Mm-hmm.
after I graduated undergrad, actually I got a scholarship to get a master's in entrepreneurship and design thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole process is something I've just like really, really leaned into. Um, like I said, struggled to find work, but eventually worked here, worked there. Started getting some like consulting type of gigs, which was pretty cool, but
Mm-hmm.
you know they don't last forever. There's no benefits, all that kind of stuff. So um, anyway, fast forwarding to 2020, right? We have
Mm-hmm.
the whole Black Lives Matter movement.
Mm-hmm.
I started working at a nonprofit at the time, and it was a toxic work environment that I ended up leaving. And again, being like, yo, like if I'm gonna die for something, it is not gonna be building
Right.
their thing. I have
Right.
to build my own thing. But I also was like, man, like a dream I have is to, you know, have that HBCU experience. And I saw an ad to apply for Howard's MBA program,
Mm-hmm.
which was like a sign from God because I was like, I need a graduate program at an HBCU. Not many of them have like business graduate degrees. I didn't even want an MBA, to be honest. Like an MBA was not the goal.
Yeah.
I just wanted an HBCU experience. So anyway, saw the ad and was like, I'm gonna apply to Howard.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the only application I submitted. Like I'm like, if I don't get in, I don't get in. I'm not gonna get an MBA.
Yeah.
But I applied, and I remember the night I wrote my application, like letter, like my personal statement,
Mm-hmm.
and just like I like by then I'm like, okay, I know who I am as a black man in the world, and the impact I want to create and the legacy I want to contribute to, and
Mm-hmm.
like and you think of Howard University and you think of the legacy at the Mecca, it's just a dream come true to be a part of that. You know,
Yeah.
to be to be able to say you are affiliated. So I applied, got accepted, and when I got accepted, I was like, oh, it's game over.
Yeah.
It's game over. It's big game over, because I'm like, you know, your network is your net worth, right? That's what they say.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like you let me into the Howard network, it's
That's
a wrap.
yeah.
It's a wrap. So even like before the orientation even happened, like I'm coming in there as a man on a mission. Like, yeah, I'm gonna get this degree,
Mm-hmm.
but like we're gonna make some things happen like from day one. So, because that's how I was at University of Delaware as well. I just
Right.
knew I'm here for a limited amount of time. I have to maximize the resources, maximize my connections, like build
Mm-hmm.
relationships with people. And I think one of the best ways to build a relationship with someone can be to start a business with them, or at least go on an entrepreneurial journey with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To start from zero, to have a vision, and then to go through those challenges, right? And like those challenges are gonna build a bond.
Yeah.
More
That
times than
part.
not, you
Yeah.
may, you know, separate. The
Yeah.
bond might break. But hey,
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a dream for me to go through that journey with other black people, you know, in an environment where, unlike University of Delaware, I wouldn't have to shrink. I wouldn't have to try to compel people why solving these problems is important. Because at my PWI,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm in the pitch competitions. I'm saying, hey, there's disparities when it comes to access to capital. Black women are the least funded group
Mm-hmm.
in America, but they're the most likely to provide, you know, the returns investors are looking for. So how about we invest in black women? Like giving that business case, and being, you know, that being returned with, oh, this is reverse discrimination, and you know, why would we give you resources? Like what, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
talking to the wrong audience
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
what it is. But at Howard, it's no, these are my people. Everyone gets it. And then my pitch, my pitch is different then, because it's just like, hey, you have a skill set, you have a skill set. We know what the issues in our communities are,
Right.
so let's come together. And we started leaning into that African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you
Mm-hmm.
want to go far, go together. So literally started a business called Bison Venture Partners, the
Gotcha.
bison being the mascot at Howard University. And
Ah,
yeah, leaning into that
yeah, that's dope.
whole thing, the whole
Yeah.
aesthetic of just like the black cowboy, like, blazing your own trail
Mm-hmm.
in the frontier. Like, we have to forge our own path, and it makes sense for us to do it together. It won't be easy, but it will be worthwhile.
Yeah.
So Bison Venture Partners at the top is really a consulting business,
Okay.
but more realistically, it's an innovation studio
Mm-hmm.
where it allows us to essentially be an agency where we have a group of individuals, myself, my co-founder, other partners who we've met in our program, in our business
Mm-hmm.
program, and then just in our journey of just being HBCU affiliated,
Yeah.
of saying, hey, you have this skill set. You're great at marketing. You're a lawyer now. You are a designer. You are great in spreadsheets, right? So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
how do we look at the problems in our community, like lack of access to capital for small businesses, or lack of access to scalable technologies or marketing resources, whatever it might be, and say, okay, let's identify the people in our community who need help, and then let's see how we can position ourselves to support them. So
Now,
that's
these
how it
look like
started.
startups or even established businesses, both.
Honestly, both.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we think about your local brick and mortar, whether
Yeah.
it's a barber shop, a local, grocery store,
Yeah.
even.
Yep. Okay.
But then, yeah, also looking at the innovative technology founders. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just knowing our community needs both. We need
Yeah.
all of these things, right?
Yeah.
So not feeling like we need to pick one or the other. But just and then like for me, being a creative, it's like, okay, I want to help other people, but then at the same time, like, I have ideas.
Yeah.
So that's why I say we're an innovation studio, because there are going to be external people who come in who we support. We provide consulting services, mentorship, and guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes funding. We do micro
Mm-hmm.
investing.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have our own ideas that we may want to develop internally and potentially spin out, just like the university does, right?
Yep.
Just like a lab does. So the original concept was a marketplace for HBCU affiliated entrepreneurs,
Mm.
where we were saying, okay, like, it would be really cool if we could amplify all of these businesses that are founded by HBCU alumni
Mm-hmm.
in one place and just show the
Mm-hmm.
world, like, this is what HBCUs produce, whether
Yeah.
it's the makeup lines, the shoes, the fashion, all the stuff,
Touch
the
everything, man.
CPGs. Yeah, like, put it in one place and just show the world what it is, but then use our skill set of leveraging technology to help those brands be amplified, right, and reach new audiences. So we started building that out, and in that process, very early on, I was like, we should sell our own product in this store so we know how the system works and we can work
Mm-hmm.
out any bugs and kinks. And I figured out a way to drop ship specialty coffee.
Okay.
Two terms that I really wasn't familiar with. So
Yeah.
drop shipping was like, I've heard of drop shipping, but it was always from like these weird guys on
Yeah.
campus.
Yeah.
I'm
For
like,
sure.
y'all
Yeah.
are like some scammers. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Like, it's just
Yeah. I've
easy.
seen
Like, you don't
plenty of
even
those,
need,
man. Oh my god.
yeah, you don't even need the inventory. You just press a
Right.
button and whatever. But then I started to learn what it actually is, right? And I started to see, oh, it's actually genius. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're creating real value in the world, like, drop shipping can be a great model. It is a solid business model. But I found a platform where we were able to source specialty coffee, which is like better than premium grade coffee,
Mm-hmm.
literally better than what you'll get at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. It is coffee that is grown by what are called smallhold farmers.
Okay.
So it's more like a craft product. There's a lot of attention to detail that goes into growing these coffees at high altitudes in essentially small batches.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so so yeah, found this coffee, ordered a sample, and it changed my life. It was like, this is the best. This is the best coffee I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly fresh. So how the system works is, different roasters across the country that we work with have the green coffee beans that they source from different coffee farms around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, the vast majority of coffee is not grown in America,
Right.
but America consumes the most coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not to get off on a tangent, but reasons why things like tariffs and global trade wars are things that hurt Americans
Mm-hmm.
when we
Mm-hmm.
uh, think in those ways. So anyway, tried the coffee, loved it. Put it up in our store, and we were hitting some technical challenges as well, where it was like, man, it's really difficult for us to like tap into the inventory of these other stores and manage the customer experience to make sure it's seamless across the board. So it was just a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things, a lot of moving parts. We got invited to do a pop up shop to sell our bagged coffee somewhere. And it was the first time that I ever had a physical product to sell in person. Like I had never like tabled and sold products. Like I knew people
Mm-hmm.
that did that, but like
Mm-hmm.
it was never my thing. So we get invited to this thing in Philly, and my business partner comes from Dallas. We put the cowboy hats on, the whole Bison Venture Partners theme. Like,
I feel like I remember seeing something like
yeah, it was pretty
that.
iconic.
Yeah, yeah,
It was pretty iconic
yeah. Uh-huh.
in West Philadelphia, so we
Right.
call it Wild West Philly. And I bought like a coffee, not even a coffee cart, but like a little stand, like a wooden stand
Mm-hmm.
that has on wheels, and rolled it into this co-working space. And we had this like what looked like a makeshift coffee setup.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2 to 3 hours, we sold a couple $1,000s worth of bagged coffee beans.
Wow.
And that's when I was like, okay, we are selling coffee
Yeah.
now. like
That's
we,
it.
like that was the first time we're like, okay, we got the Shopify point of sale device.
Yep.
Like money's being exchanged, cash is being exchanged. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was a great feeling to be able to be in community with people, to tell an authentic story. We're talking about Howard, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
teaching Black history with our products. We
Mm-hmm.
put 1867 on the bags, which is the founding year of Howard University. Also Morehouse College.
Mm-hmm.
Also several other HBCUs. It's actually
Mm-hmm.
the year with the most number of HBCUs founded in a single year. So there's a lot of rich history in that year. So we put it on our bags. And when people are asking what makes your coffee unique, well, we donate $1 from every bag that we sell to HBCU scholarships, because we got our start at Howard.
Yeah.
And actually, me and my co-founder, like technically, we've dropped out. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go back and finish our degrees, but we started this business in school.
Yeah.
We've been through a bunch of trials and tribulations, and we had to put school on the side, on the back burner. But even while at Howard, we're like, man, like this university needs and deserves so much more,
Yeah.
and every HBCU needs and deserves so much more. So how do we use entrepreneurship as a way to contribute, to give back in that way?
Yeah, that's an incredible story, man. So a couple of things that kind of jump out to me. One is, congratulations, kudos to everything that has gone into getting to this point, because I know it ain't easy.
Yes, sir.
One thing I really respect and appreciate about what you do is that you build in public, and I think and we tell this to clients all the time, like showcasing the process of what it takes to do the thing, I think goes so far with building brand equity, with building trust, with people being able to connect emotionally with what you're doing. Because what you've essentially done is like, yes, you have a product, right? But essentially you've created something that taps more into lifestyle and history that people can identify themselves in, right? So even when I saw the product, the 1867 brand or whatnot, I immediately before I knew that it was, connected to HBCUs, specifically Howard and Morehouse, I initially thought about, oh, that's when Morehouse was founded, right? Because I went there.
Yes, sir.
And then when I read, I was like, oh, that makes sense coming from Gary, right? And his crew, right? Like, but now, I mean, when you create something like that, and you have other people who can identify and can see themselves in it, and it resonates, it's like, yo, how could I not get behind this? Like, how could I not, support this brand? How could I not be loyal to them in whatever capacity that looks like for me? And so I always just find it, amazing when people can really build something and really pull in their culture, history, but do it in a way that also drives value, and you have a real business and you're making revenue and those types of things. So I just love hearing those kind of stories, man. It's super cool.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And I have to say, the other big tie-in is coffee is a direct tie back to the motherland,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And coffee is Black history, period. Like it was discovered in Ethiopia, right? So it is an African product originally that has gone on to create great wealth for a lot of people around the world, and it tends not to be wealth that is retained in our community, right? So in a way, in a big way, us launching a brand and being able to tell this story is like invoking a sense of pride in our community and ownership, and getting our people to realize, like, even if you didn't drink coffee or care about coffee or think too much about it before, like when you hear about BBP and you learn the history lesson, whether you buy the product or not, like you understand what this is, right? And you understand what we produce, right? Like what comes from the motherland and like what is your history and heritage. And we've converted so many people now to being coffee drinkers because one, they're like, I never thought about coffee before. Like I didn't think that deeply about it,
Yeah.
right? But not only does coffee originally come from Africa, but even today, obviously, so much of it is produced on the continent. And I just got back from a trip in Kenya
Yeah.
where
Yep.
I slept on a coffee farm. I toured a farm called Solai Coffee, and I've built a direct trade relationship where now we're going to be moving from we're growing, the business is growing. So before we had other people roasting our coffee, we didn't always know like the whole process of like where it came from. I was washing that coffee myself. I put my feet in that coffee. When people say I put my foot in it, when
Yeah.
something is good, like I put my foot in that coffee
Yeah.
for real. So like I was with the farmers, and it's primarily Black women, African women on these farms picking the coffee cherries one by one, like by hand. Like by hand, they're picking these individual cherries, and like it's a huge manual process that goes from turning that cherry into the black liquid you have in your cup that so many people just enjoy every day, but maybe take for granted, don't think too much about it. But with this product now, right, through entrepreneurship, we're able to tell that story. And when we're making money by selling our bags in the US, that means that people in Africa have better paying jobs. It means that they're able to send their kids to school because they're able to make a living wage by working on a coffee farm, and that's education, right? So always everything for us is just coming back to education, whether it's us educating Black Americans or anyone else about Black history and coffee, or if it's creating opportunities where the coffee farm in Kenya is able to have their employees, their staff send their kids to school, but also right by the farm there's a primary school that the farm supports, and we're trying to do more so that we can make sure that kids have access to books and access to, they don't even have a cafeteria. Like we want to sell as much coffee as we can so that they can build a cafeteria, because the kids right now get their food, they sit outside. If it rains, they have to go run under a tree, run and find somewhere somewhere dry to eat. So it's like we take so many things for granted, but again, entrepreneurship can be so much more than being extracting, right, and just trying to capture as much money for ourselves as possible. But again, going back to impact, it's like, how do we create something where everybody along this path is benefiting? And if we can make $1 million doing it, great. But I'm the type of person who's just like, that money's not going to sit in my bank account. I'm going to have some investments. We're going to make our investments. We were going to build wealth. But the people, everybody got to eat. Everybody got to eat. So you're having fun with it and learning so much, and just being able to like learn things I don't know about Black history, about my history and heritage. And I'll just stop by saying, like, that was my first time in Africa. I'm walking on the farm barefoot, like touching the soil, just being like, just taking it all in and realizing, like, I mean, that is us. whether we
Mm-hmm.
know it, like truly know it or not. Like they are us, we are them. Like we
Mm-hmm.
are all connected. Africa is truly the motherland. It is home, and the
Mm-hmm.
more ways that we can build those connections, the stronger we'll all be as a culture and
Yeah,
community.
man. I think you hit the nail on the head, bro. Everything of what you're talking about is rooted. Again, I keep going back to it's a product that you have, but it's rooted in purpose. Like there's a reason for existing that's different than anyone else or any other product in the marketplace, right?
Hmm.
Or that category. And so that is whenever I hear that, I mean, just bells start to go off in my head around like how if you stay true to that, right? And that, again, like I feel like I say this with every episode, so bear with me, people who are listening. That's the whole reason why I wanted to start this show,
Hmm.
and why we called it what we called it, and it's because you're leaning into the essence of who you are, where you come from, the impact that you want to have, the community, like everything, right? That's really what a brand is about, right? The logo and the colors and all that stuff is cool, right? But it's really how you're showing up and the practice behind what you do and the effort and the mission and the vision that you're bringing to life. That's really where it's at. It's really where it's at.
Yes, sir. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I appreciate you for extracting it out of me. It's always great to have like an authentic conversation
Hmm.
too, because I think like I really struggle with creating content. I'm like, like, what do you mean? Like, I just open my phone and like say the same thing? I can't say the same thing. I need to have a conversation, you know? So I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it was I recently gave a presentation to a group of founders and we were talking about marketing and branding and things of that nature, and one of the questions I got was I struggled from one of the founders, and she was just mentioning how she struggled with creating content. And she, was kind of going back and forth with wanting to be or not be, the face of the brand, but she is the brand. She started it. She knows the most about it and all these different things. And she was like, should I just stay behind the scenes or should I be out there front and center? I said, look, you got to do what's comfortable for you. And what she was really saying was, she didn't feel comfortable in creating content in a way that only she had seen. So think of, looking directly at a camera and having to speak, in a way that is, punchy and not mess up. And I'm like, look, no one does that, right? People do it, but you have to get reps in. I said, you have to put yourself in, you have to put yourself in a space or an environment where it's natural for you. If you need to have a conversation for people to come out and or for people to pull out certain points that you need to kind of touch on and recreate that, like create that environment for yourself. But trust me, man, like we've been doing more and more content, and it's a lot like you've been around us for a while, like we do it for so many other people, and then the moment you have to do it for yourself, you're like, I don't know how to do this,
Yeah, right.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, man. But no, keep doing what you're doing, brother. Is like you said, I'm gonna reiterate what that mother said to you. Like you're needed. You are, doing something that's special, man. It's God's work, and any way that any of us can support, just say it. Say the
Yes,
word.
sir.
And I know you will. You definitely will.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah, and I will right now at this
Yeah.
very moment.
Uh huh.
Actually, yes, sir. We are actually fundraising. We are currently
A word.
fundraising.
Okay.
So, anyone in our community can express interest in
Mm-hmm.
investing in BVP Coffee Co., potentially owning a piece of equity
Yeah.
ownership in the business. So, if you visit our website, it's bvp.coffee. Right on the homepage, there's a button that says Invest in BVP Coffee Co. You can click that button. You can learn all about our investment campaign. But we're using a platform called WeFunder that allows everyday people to invest as little as $100 if you'd like, or more, up to $2,000 if you would like. But you can invest in BVP. You can invest in any number of a bunch of other small businesses,
Sure. Okay.
technology startups. But we really want to. I mean, one, we need funding. We need funding to grow the business. but we want to do it with community, right? We're not going to investor. We're not going to venture capitalists. We're not going to the banks. We're going directly to our customers, our supporters, the people that believe in us, and we want to see if we can raise a couple $1 million from the people,
Work. Okay.
and use that people power to take the company to the next level.
That's incredible, man. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. What and I'll leave you be after this. I try to ask people. Well, two other questions I have for you is kind of to that end. What is I know you're building the business now, and it's hard to say what the end game looks like. But do you have an idea of what the end game looks like? Like, what do you ultimately want to do with BVP?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's ownership really
Yeah.
is the goal. So owning the supply chain, owning the manufacturing. Like we started as a website, right, drop shipping, but I want us to build a roastery, an innovative roastery using electricity as opposed to gas, which
Okay.
harms the environment. Building the next version of what they call a third space, right? Like the place where people go outside of home and school and church, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that cafe experience that combines, like, to me, it's a bookstore, it's the library, it's the cafe, it's the co-working space, right? It's the community hub. It's just a place where you can feel like you're home, you feel like you can learn something, you can enjoy quality products, you know that you're not being sold, you know, chemicals and toxins and things. But owning the infrastructure where we're importing the beans, maybe even we own some farms, right, in other countries. But owning it, not being beholden to, like, other people's systems.
Yeah.
There's so much opportunity that we have, especially with, like, technology today. Like, you can use AI to tell you, okay, how do I build my own Shopify store without using Shopify? Like, how do I build it from scratch? And it will tell you, it will give you
It'll
the
tell you.
code.
It'll
So,
give you the
like,
answer.
we truly have everything we need. And for me, it's just like, especially after the Africa trip, it's just like, it's not artificial intelligence that we need to care about. It's ancestral intelligence. And, the fact that people are still trying to figure out how we built the pyramids tells you, like, it's in us. It is already within us. We just have to know that and tap into it. And we have to do it together. It's all about community. So that's it for me, man. Just continuing to go to grow, to build the pyramid. That
Yeah.
is the
Yeah. Yeah.
goal.
No, you
I
on
don't know
that
how
path.
big it's gonna be, but we just gonna build, and we just it's not about, taking anything over. It's not about making anybody else smaller. It's just like, this is our pyramid, and hopefully other people along the way build their own pyramids as well.
Yeah, man. What you're talking about, man, is like just true scale and scalability. I don't think like we as people talk about that enough. Where it's okay, it's one thing to start a business, but then to look at your business in a way that's vertically integrated with the entire supply chain, like you mentioned, to where you may start with this one piece and this one component, and then there's something that happens downstream that you historically had to rely on to be able to sell the thing that you do. But then getting the first part of the business to a point to where now you can invest and start to deploy resources and getting the next piece and then the next piece, and next thing you know, you've owned and created something that has 5 stops, 7 stops, 5, 7 different businesses. Now you're talking about sustainability. You're talking about wealth creation, in a true way. And like I said, I mean, folks outside of our community have always done this. It's just we're now getting around to the space of being able to think about it fully and smartly and intelligently. And so I wanted to make sure I stuck a pin in that piece, because I think that's a really powerful takeaway for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll let you be, brother. I appreciate it again. And I know you kind of shared this information with us already, but definitely tell us everywhere where people can find you. IG, like LinkedIn, website. Give us the whole
Yeah,
nine.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you can find me personally, Gary Johnson the third, GARRYJOHNSONIII, everywhere, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. But then BVP Coffee Co. everywhere. Website is bvp.coffee. And on that site, you'll see, different links to different places. But our investment campaign is on there. If you want to go directly to it, it's WeFunder, WEFUNDER.com/BVP Coffee Co. You can check out our campaign there. And then separately, we have a newsletter on Substack.
Okay.
So we post a lot of content there. So that is bvpcoffee.co. So just a different website you can visit. But on there, we're going to be launching our podcast, which is called Free Breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
Free Breakfast is based on the Black Panther Party's Free Breakfast for School Children program. So we're having fun. Again, leaning into ancestral intelligence, remixing it for the modern day. And then quite literally, we'll be hosting live events where we will provide free breakfast to people who show up while doing live podcast recordings, having educational sessions during those sessions, interviewing entrepreneurs, important people in the community, all that kind of good stuff.
Love it, bro. Love it. Again, man, I appreciate you joining. Man,
Yes,
kudos
sir.
to you. All the best of luck. Yeah, and we'll be sure to get everybody, or to make sure everyone stays tuned in, and we'll share those details also in the descriptions. Again, man, thanks for the time, and can't wait to see you just continue to grow and develop and flourish, but as I know you will, man. I've seen you operate long enough to know you the real deal. So.
And same to you. Same to you. I'm looking forward to continuing to watch these episodes as they come out, and seeing the growth of the podcast and everything. So I appreciate your consistency.
Yeah.
And the quality that you produce and put out there. That is, I have a great model to look at and say, okay, that's the standard.
Oh, man. All right. I appreciate it. I received that. I received that.
Yes,
Well, cool
sir.
beans, brother, man. Enjoy your weekend, and man, we'll be seeing you soon.
All right. See you soon. Appreciate you, brother.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Heavy on Brand podcast, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. If you need more information on all things marketing and branding, check us out at thecarbonthread.com. Until next time, stay heavy.